Over the years, I have talked to a lot of people who are looking to move to Florida. Some people get here and then some people decide not to make the big move. And I think part of the reason why is it is such an overwhelming or potentially overwhelming emotional process. Everywhere from so much excitement and joy to frustration to nervousness, fear of the unknown. Maybe you have certain expectations in your mind, and then as you start going through the process, you realize, okay, this is not what I thought it would be like. So there's just a lot that goes on. So in this video, I want to cover some steps to take if you are thinking about moving to Florida, moving to the Sunshine State, some solid, tangible steps that can help maybe regulate or level out some of those emotions and anxiety. Hi, I'm Jill Thomas, and each week I bring new videos about what it's like to move here to the Sunshine State, just like this video, or what the Sarasota and Bradenton area is like. And then of course, I talk about real estate because I'm a real estate agent. So if you have been thinking about making a move to the area, or maybe you're here and you need to do something with some properties that you have, then this might be a really good channel for you. So if you would, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, but then really most importantly, keep on watching these videos that I would hope would be a help to you. And then when you are ready, then please give me a call, text, or email me so I can help you sort through a lot of these things and answer your questions. So to help with eliminating some of that anxiety, leveling out those emotions, here are 6 tangible steps you can take. Now keep in mind, these are, even though I've got step 1, step 2, step 3, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to complete one step to get to the other. There's a lot of overlap. And then also the timing of it's going to be different for everybody, because some people, they call me up and 3 weeks later we're under contract. Some people it's 3 months later, and some people it's even years. So everybody's got a different time frame, but this is just a nice guideline, a good outline for you to follow and to make sure that you're not missing anything. And I think this could really help you. Step number 1, research online. Now, if you're watching this video, I think we are safe to assume that you are already doing some of this. Take a look at the different areas here in Florida. What kind of lifestyle do you envision for yourself? Maybe your job is going to be a factor in this decision that you're going to make, or maybe it's family, or maybe it's just personal desire. Some people, they just have nothing to tie them down, so sky's the limit on where they can move to. So really do some research so you can understand the good, bad, and ugly of what these areas or the whole state could be like for you, just to make sure that it is a good fit. So number 1, start that research online. Step number 2, narrow down the areas of interest. So like I said before, maybe sky's the limit, or maybe there's some things that are kind of forcing you to be in certain areas over others. But really, in the end, it's good for you just to sort of narrow it down to 2 or 3 towns, communities, areas, marketplaces that really could be a good fit. And then so have that be your A list, but then also have a B list of some secondary areas that could be of interest. But initially, then after you kind of come up with these 2 lists, we'll focus on that A list, premium areas, at least in your mind at this moment, that could be a fit for you. And then that's a good place to start with. So number 1, start your research online. Number 2, let's narrow down these areas a little bit. Step number 3, call agents. So now you've got your A list of those towns or areas that you're most interested in. Now you need to connect with a real estate agent in those areas, because they're going to provide so much more insight than anything you're going to find online. They're going to help you as you start to share those specifics so that you truly understand what it's all about, what you can get for your money, the locations, proximities to the beach, or maybe to work, or whatever is so important to you. So that's really, really huge for you to start talking to an agent earlier on. Don't wait until the last minute. Now, often people will call me up and, I'll say, okay, are you looking in other areas? What's going on? And when they say, or if they say yes, then I'll ask, you have agents that you're already talking to in those areas. Otherwise, I'd like to help with connecting you to people who are of quality that I know can do a really good job for you. So you can always ask me for recommendations for agents in other areas, just not in the state of Florida, but anywhere across the United States. Okay, so now you're going to call this agent up. And often when people call me, sometimes I'll just go, hey Jill, like, how do we start this conversation? Some people aren't really sure. Often I'll just say, just start talking, start sharing things that you're thinking about, and then I'll ask the questions to help fill in those gaps of things I need to know more of. But here are some basics that you need to be prepared to share with the agent when you give them a call. Of course, what type of property are you looking for? Do you need a house, a single family home? Talk more specifically about locations. That's really important as well. What's important to you? What do you envision? What are you seeing right now in this house that you want to buy? And then also motivation. Why do you want to move to that area? Again, is it family? Is it work? Maybe you're just wanting to leave where you're at. And again, the sky's the limit type of thing. Oh, you can hear my dog barking in the background. Maybe it just depends. So share that motivation, because that can really help that agent or help me to know how I can help you a little bit more to narrow down things and to give you some suggestions. So share about that motivation. And then also budget, because that's really important to be able to choose the right neighborhoods, the right locations, to figure out what areas can we get the most for your money. And so that's also important. Sometimes people are a little shy about sharing that budget, but even if it's just a range, that's a really nice place to start. So be prepared to share all of those things. In the end, really what's most important is to truly be transparent with that agent, because, if let's say you are looking in other areas, that's okay. Like, that doesn't bother me for you to say that. I don't freeze up or think, oh, I'm not going to help you so much, or no, that's all right. So even if you're going to be looking at other areas, that's great. And talking to other agents. Now, don't talk to other agents within the same marketplace, because then that's, not fair. If you're talking to me and one or two other agents as well, that means somebody's not going to be making money in the end. And if you do buy in that market. And so you got to just focus in on one agent that you feel comfortable with and somebody that you can trust. But really, in the end, be transparent with the agents that you're talking to. Now, here's a little word of warning I want to give to you, or just a little heads up. All right, so up to this point, let's assume that everything that you've been doing has been virtual, things online, or maybe you're talking to a few people who live in the area that you're thinking about moving to, or just people maybe who live in Florida, maybe they live in Naples, but you're still more focused on the Sarasota area, for instance. Well, it's not unusual then when people call me and they start sharing all those things, which I want you to do, that sometimes what you've started to envision based on talking to people, based on what you're seeing online, your research, which is all very important, but then what is reality, what we can really accomplish here, sometimes those two things don't marry up so well. And so what I end up having to do is sort of say, okay, yep, I get that, that's what you like. Now, this is what's available, though, that's the closest to that in my market. This is what we can do. Maybe the discrepancy has to do with budget. Maybe it has to do with features of a home. Maybe it has to do with location. So just make sure that you're open-minded, that when you call, you could sense a little bit of disappointment, because when you do call, people, you're going to be excited. People are so excited when they call and want to talk to me. I've got one appointment today with a new person, another phone call tomorrow with somebody else. So they're excited, they're nervous, they've made that step to call me. And so sometimes, though, I feel like I'm spritzing a little bit of cold water on them when they do, because it's sort of like a reality check. And it's not anything that you've done wrong or that you're being foolish or silly or whatever. It's just ignorance. And I say that in the nicest way. So what I try to do is be kind of direct, gently direct with people, because I want to set those expectations up front. Because in the end, if something is a real deal killer for you, I want you to know that sooner than later. I don't want to go through this long process and then in the end you go, oh, well, I can't do that because this is really what I want, or this is what I need. And so I don't want to waste your time, as well as mine, to be honest with you. So I'll be gently direct with you and say, hey, this is what we can do, or maybe have you thought about this? And sometimes people are pleasantly surprised at some other options just because they never thought of it before. Everybody's circumstances are so different. So I just say, brace yourself a little bit with some of those expectations, and don't be surprised if, there could be a little bit of disappointment, or it could be some nice little surprises too, positive surprises. And then one other thing, remember how before I talked about having your A list of areas or towns that you might be interested in, but then have your B list. Well, then when you call those agents and as you realize some of these things, and that's why I like to be a little bit more kindly direct with you, is what if you decide, oh my goodness, Sarasota is not meant for me, or another town, maybe, Ocala is not a fit for me, or Dunedin or something like that. So then take that off the list and replace it with a town from your B list, and then focus on that one as well, because you're moving. This is a huge thing, so you want to make sure you're moving to the right area, the right communities, with the right everything for you. So then you can replace that, and that's okay. Things can be adjusted. So that's why I say have that A list, have that B list of towns or communities that you think you like. And then from there, you call me. You're transparent with me. I'll be transparent with you. You say, hey, this is still a good fit. I still want to continue to explore this area in addition to maybe exploring other areas as well. So then from there, we're going to come up with a game plan, maybe set you up on searches. We'll do some research with new construction, whatever it takes. Then we'll go from there and we'll come up with a customized game plan for you. Step number 4, visit the areas that you're interested in. Let's come down to Florida, take a look. And that's why I say have that A list, have that B list, already do some research. You're online, you're talking to those agents, so that when you come here, you're not just showing up to an area and go, oh, well, this won't work. That maybe you could have discovered that prior to coming here, so you're not wasting time and money traveling to those areas that in the end you don't want to be at. So let's maximize that time. That's what I always tell folks. When they come down to visit, I want to maximize that time, because often people they want to enjoy themselves. They want to explore the areas themselves a little bit. They want to take the time to go to the beach, go out to eat. Maybe you've got family here too. You want to have family time. And so it's not always all about real estate when you come down. Now, sometimes there are people who fly down for 2 days and that's it. It's real estate. We hit it hard and that's all. So that's great too. So whichever way it is, how you come down to visit, let's maximize that time, make the best use of it. So when you're here, you walk away feeling more confident and more informed about the next step. Step number 5, get pre-approved. Okay, so if you are not paying cash, if you're getting a loan, you do need to be pre-approved before we write offers, because we need to submit that pre-approval letter with the offer. Or if you are paying cash, proof of funds. So at some point I would have to ask you, okay, I need to have a bank statement or something. We block out the account number so we can present it to the listing agent with your offer. Now, I prefer that buyers use a local lender, not a big bank or a .com. I've done videos on that. I can throw links to that down below, so I'm not going to dive into that right now. But you do need to get pre-approved at some point during the process. Now, like I said before, these steps are a little soft, so depending on how fast you're going through the process or just different circumstances, you may have already done that. And so that's a good thing, doing it sooner than later, nothing wrong with that. Okay, so one thing I do want to let you know is as you call these agents up, all real estate agents handle this pre-approval step differently. And this is why. Agents, all of us as real estate agents, we're independent contractors. We don't get paid by the brokerage at all. We get paid when we close. It's 100% commission based. So as a result, some agents really guard their time with this, and they say, listen, unless you're pre-approved, unless I see a pre-approval letter, I'm not going to show you a home. I'm not going to have an in-depth conversation with you maybe. They're very guarded with that just because that's how they want to run their business. And so that's okay. That's how some people handle that. So if you were to call an agent up and right away, they could just say, that could be their first question. Instead of, hey, what are you interested in looking at? What's your motivation? Just talk to me a little bit. Their first question is, are you pre-approved? I want to see that pre-approval letter. Just because they don't want to waste their time. Now, maybe good, maybe bad. That's not how I typically do it. Not to say that at some point, or even in the first conversation, I might ask you about if you've been talking to a lender or something like that, but that's not my first question out of the gate. Sometimes I like to get to know people better a little bit first, build that trust. And honestly, I really haven't gotten burned too many times where I felt like I wasted my time with somebody because they were not financially capable of purchasing what we've been looking at or even buying in the area. So I do eventually ask about that, but usually not right out the gate, nor will I just say, oh, I'm not going to show you anything unless you're pre-approved. One question, honestly, I need to ask a little bit more often is, do you need to sell a home first before buying? Because then sometimes people come down and they're thinking, oh, I'll just write this offer contingent on the sale of my house. And it's like, oh, is your house on the market yet? Well, no. Okay, well, that's a whole different story. No, you're not going to buy something this trip, if you need to sell first before buying. So that's a question that I'm going to be asking more frequently now. Not that it's really been a big issue, but it's just something on my mind lately. So I don't push the pre-approval super hard right away, but I will be asking about it. And then I'll be asking for that pre-approval letter, especially if you've already got one from a lender. And then we'll also talk too about the benefits of a local lender. Now, in the end, as the buyer, you can use whoever you want to get that loan. I'm not going to strong arm you or anything like that, but there are definitely benefits to using a local lender. Okay, so when you are talking to that agent, when you call them up, then again, try to be transparent the best you can. Share whether or not you're going to be paying cash, whether or not you are going to get financing. Share if you've already talked to a lender to get pre-approved, and then also share if you have a house to sell, some other property to sell first before buying, or maybe you're going to do a 1031 exchange, something like that. So again, be transparent with the agent, share those things with them up front, and then that will help with, me helping you. Step number 6, reevaluate. Okay, so let's say you do come down here, you explore some different areas, or you're really learning more about maybe what you can get for your money. Maybe you're learning things that you didn't realize that you saw online, or maybe seeing it in person versus just seeing it online has changed your perspective. All right, that's okay. So sometimes people need to step back a little bit, reevaluate. If you've got a spouse or a partner, you talk to them, maybe you talk to some other family members, and you step back and go, okay, now what's the best decision? And so if you need to change location that you're interested in, maybe you're thinking a house and then now maybe condo, or the other way around. There could be all sorts of things where your priorities or what you thought was on your list of this is what I really need to have, that can change, and that's okay. Like I said, you're not going to get any hard press from me personally in regards to that, because I do want you to make a really good decision for yourself. So reevaluate. Now, the one thing I do ask from folks is just to keep me in the loop. Communicate that to me. Say, hey, Jill, we're getting a little nervous. I think we need to back off a little bit. Or maybe our budget's changed. Instead of spending this much money, we don't want to spend as much. I have people who say that maybe they're looking for a second home down here and their budget initially is a lot higher. And then they decide, let's make this first property a little bit smaller, a little bit more simple. Let's drop the budget and let my introductory property to Florida be a little bit more simple. You know what? That's okay. So step back, reevaluate based on everything that you've learned, and then we move forward from there. No problem. And like I've said before, I'll be honest with you. I'll be kindly direct. I'll share with you my thoughts. I'll give you different food for thought just so you see the big picture. And sometimes, even if I'm repeating things that you already know, just having those conversations out loud with somebody else who is not maybe emotionally invested in the process as you are, somebody else in your family, that can really help bring clarity to your decisions. So I'm here definitely to be a sounding board for you. So there are my 6 steps to moving to Florida. Now, for those of you who have made a big move like that, is there something I missed? If so, please drop it in the comments below to be of help to other people. Now, again, everybody's circumstances are different. I could make a 3-hour-long video on something like this, but here's just some general steps I think that can help settle those emotions, set those expectations a little bit, and as you move forward to potentially make this move. One thing I do, especially when people start to come down here, maybe they come into my office, we talk a little bit, or let's say we're at the inspections, or just when I'm showing homes, I go through a lot of detailed information and talk about those next smaller steps that may be coming up, just to help with those expectations, because sometimes if you just don't know what could potentially happen and then something happens, people freak out and they're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this just happened. And it's like, hey, no, that's normal. So once I start sharing those details up front, that if we do come to a little speed bump, a little hurdle, or just something, anything, then the buyer isn't taken aback so much. And again, that helps with keeping those emotions in check, so we have a really lovely experience with you coming down to buy a property. Okay, so I hope this helped you guys out. Again, if you have any questions, please give me a call. I'm here to help you out. Have a great day. Bye-bye.